Well, before I want to get into a little bit about because we've talked enough about my writing and all that kind of stuff. I want to get into a little bit about your writing and sort of the origins of Boxhead books. But first, before that, I will be doing a reading of one of your short stories. So
Oh,
let's get into
please
that.
do by all means, Brandon.
A funny thing about Phobos. The robotic arm of Skylos gently maneuvered towards the cylinder. This was a defining moment in human history, not just the first real evidence of extraterrestrial life, but evidence of intelligence and craftsmanship in the mysterious builders of whatever this was. The monolith of the Martian moon known as Phobos had been discussed for decades, and frankly, it was mostly just a big rock. Mostly. On top of the monolith, it was discovered in 2045 that there is what the initial discoverer referred to as an altar, and within the center of that altar is a 13-foot mass that could only be explained by artificial means, perfectly cylindrical and unnaturally smooth. David Ray watched in awe as the drones brought this mystery into the research bay. David had lived his whole life in dedication to this moment, burying his nose into any book or magazine about astronomy or science fiction, foregoing the basic earthly pleasures for research. Research for either academics or for simple fun. This cylinder. This was more than evidence of living things outside of the small blue dot. This was art, beauty, craftsmanship, a perfect understanding of mathematics. This was a testament to an appreciation of aesthetics, something that many thought was unique to the human species. But this is evidence to that being a falsehood that will never enter the human collective unconscious ever again, until the last human perishes, and there is no next of kin waiting to hear the stories and knowledge. That thought was racing through David's mind, along with a few million more. The absolute beauty of this art form could be the death of him, and he wouldn't have it any other way. It would be an honor if this prepossessing object fell and crushed him, or the radiation gave him an all-consuming cancer that completely sucked the life force out of him. It would be appropriate, giving his life to the very thing that will change humanity forever. Maybe he would get a memorial if he perished. Maybe people would recognize him for the hero he was and always had been, but they just didn't give him the time or the effort in their busy lives. He would be famous and compared to the Einsteins and Newtons of the human mythos. This was his absolute destiny. Okay, so the initial scans show this is inert. Given that statement, we can freely work on whatever the hell this is, said the chief operations manager Ava Ling to a room that had a minor chuckle over that last part of her sentence, except for David. This is not a joking matter, he thought to himself. So we'll have 3 teams working on this. Team A will conduct physical testing just to make sure this fucking thing's inert. The crowd gave another minor chuckle, except for the annoyed David. Team B will conduct archaeological tests. Team C will conduct more psychological tests. I know that sounds vague and rather weird to our older team members, but remember that the UN has different motivations compared to the individual and nationalistic nations of the past. Now that being said, I know this mission may mean a lot to you. It may mean a lot to the remnants of your home nations. And it may mean you don't want to regard other team members' opinions or outright facts. But all of that bullshit aside, I want a clean and friendly environment here. I repeat, no bullshit. I don't want paperwork, and neither do you. Let's get used to this new world together. Both people of Earth and people of Mars, even though there's like only 1,000 people on Mars, okay? Ling concluded her speech to another round of quiet laughter and murmurs. David was part of Team A. The tests were conducted and the results were frankly underwhelming. No heat, no current, no radiation, not so much as a scratch or marking. In a physical sense, this was a rock that happened to be nice looking. But maybe that's why there is an altar dedicated to it, exclaimed David. No one cared. It was the end of their shift. The Ares Taurus had a movie theater, and tonight they were showing a Marvel movie marathon. There really isn't anything else to do in space, and it's rather hard to sleep once you're outside of the cradle of Earth. David didn't understand why his team didn't care as much as him. None the matter. He'd have time alone with this masterpiece. David stared at the cylinder and thought to himself, "This is such a remarkable carving. Another species made this, another living thing with unique biology to humanity. This is truly what you were born for, David. Truly. Never mind the years wasted on studying and research. Never mind the time and events sacrificed to the gods of science and inquiry. You truly did the right thing. Truly did the right thing. The right thing. Of course, making friends and fucking girls, that's wasted energy. You could have been married by now. Could have had kids and lovely job as an astronomy teacher or anything really. But no. You dedicated your life to something that may not have actually existed. Funny thing that is. Alien life. Why don't we hear them? Why don't we see them? If there are other beings out there, then surely we would have evidence by now. Unless, of course, they never existed. No, that's silly. Instead, they are all dead. I mean, that makes more sense. A thing that is no longer in this plane of existence cannot communicate. Maybe the builders of the cylinder know where they are. Maybe that's why it was built. To tell the tale of the afterlife. No. To tell the tale of where they all went, of course. David felt a pain pulsating in his temples. These were not 100% of his thoughts. Do you know, dear Ray, why civilizations die? It isn't usually the big bad asteroid or the evil race of more intelligent beings, but instead what happens on the inside of each individual being of that civilization. Each member makes a choice each day to go about that very day and complete their required tasks. What if there was an interruption in this task? What if one individual stops and goes mad? What if you are going mad? What if the builders of this very monument thought of that same thing? That a well-thinking individual is the greatest danger to their civilization, their individual natures, and that they devised a device that could challenge others' lines of thinking? Wouldn't that be funny, David? Wouldn't that be just the funniest thing? If the reason there are no aliens is because one species decided they didn't want to share? Do you see this symbol, David? David pissed himself when the picture of Arrow suddenly morphed into the cylinder's center. This is the symbol of chaos, David. The symbol that our kind never forgot. You see, we used to own things, own everything. Your kind, all kinds. They rebelled. Said we were unfair and unjust. We retreated. We created this and many others and sent them out into the galaxy. Now it's just you and us, David. Soon, there will be only us. The cylinder grew 4 arms, then leaked gallons of blood. A head that wasn't fully human emerged from the cylinder. It floated above it, glaring at David with black hole eyes. It smiled and opened that small slit of a mouth. More blood gushed through. The research bay flooded with this blood. David's tears were lost in the small sea of viscera. Insanity in musical form was blaring from an unknown source. David wasn't David anymore. He was lost in the sea. He was no longer that individual. He was one with billions of years of history, billions of years of pain and suffering and rebellion and war and death. Sweet death. It would be a gift from the gods to receive such a thing as this moment. David screamed, and millennia-old ichor flooded his lungs and essence. David died a painful death. David opened his eyes. Team B surrounded him. Fear and confusion covered their faces. "Someone call a fucking medic," said a team member. The medic on the Hermes strapped David in. He was safe. Finally safe. All right, buddy, we got some time until we dock with the Olympus. Can you remain calm by then? Yeah, yeah, I can. Before I came to get you, I was briefed, obviously, on the whole thing. I broke. That thing broke me, David said through tears. It's just what happened. Simple. And yet, the worst moments of my life. I got you. But that's the funny thing about Phobos. David looked at the man with a peculiar look. What? The funny thing about Phobos is, what you experienced was just a tiny fraction of what wiped out the Martians long ago. The man turned to David and grinned. His grin grew wider, his mouth growing and tearing through his cheeks. He opened his ever-growing mouth. His head snapped in two, revealing a sea of fangs and tongues. David screamed. The Hermes drifted in the emptiness, the empty infinity that wasn't so empty after all. And that was me doing a reading of one of his stories. Can you tell that it was live? Was it live? No. That's not important.
I was gonna pretend it was. Never mind
Yeah, let's pretend that that wasn't a separate recording, even though the audio quality is probably totally different. But you know,
that.
it was still a cold reading. Tell me a little bit about that was a very interesting though, like science fiction kind of story. And one of my favorite authors back in high school was this science fiction author by the name of Ben Bova, who
Mhm.
sadly passed away a couple of years ago, last year, a couple of years ago maybe.
Hmm.
But it kind of gave me kind of vibes of kind of that kind of. Are you always interested in like science fiction? Because I've noticed in your short stories that it's like there's like a lot of horror, there's like fantasy. It kind of jumps from genre to genre, which I think is interesting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but no, I was a massive science fiction nerd. I mean, that's why like all my social medias have tie sci-fi, because that's actually what was like kind of a nickname, more of a bullying nickname back in junior high. And it's just funny, like in sixth grade, back when I was wider than I was tall, that like broke me, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, tie sci-fi, that is me. But yeah, no, I'm a huge science fiction fan. I mean, some of the like first books I was reading, I mean, I was always into just science in general. When I was a little kid, I loved like paleontology. I mean, I was into not even just dinosaurs, but things before dinosaurs, where grown ass adults be like, what the hell are you talking about? I love, I mean, all like I was born in 93. We're pretty similar in age. So, like, late 90s, early 2000s, there was a decent amount, like any other decade, but I feel like there was a lot geared toward kids. And I was just so absorbed with natural sciences, biology, physics, astronomy, and of course I gravitated to a lot of fiction like that. I was a very very curious kid, and I was a really high reading level at a very young age, and so I gravitated to a lot of that. For example, I mean, I don't know, it was a pretty underground series, kind of trying to piggyback off the Harry Potter success, in my opinion, but I still loved it. It was the Pendragon by DJ McHale. He actually did work on the Tower of Terror Disney movie. And there's actually references one of his books, but that came out in fourth grade, and there's like 10 in the series, where it's about, a young kid who has a pretty average life, and all of a sudden it just gets completely shifted upside down. And the next throughout the entire 10-book series, he's jumping between parallel universes trying to prevent the collapse of their societies. And it's just super exciting to read that. And then, then at a younger age, I also got into H.P. Lovecraft, which, I mean, that was kind of weird because I was like, this is an elementary school, but I loved like the whole like mythos of like these ancient beings that are just like so powerful and also evil as all hell. And it's like that really just spurred my interest in a lot of sci-fi horror mixes. And like, yeah, like some of these things are terrifying and we can't explain them. And I think this is not a criticism, by the way, of like utopia good fiction. I mean, I think not everything needs a bad ending. I think that a lot of sci-fi is a little too hopeful. And it doesn't even need to be outright horror, but a lot of like just simply not knowing what's going on. Oh, that's terrifying.
Well, that's
I
one of the
mean,
things I
look,
love
yeah.
about Ben Bova's writing is that it touches upon like real world issues. A lot of it takes place either like in space or the future and stuff like that. Um, but it doesn't. I mean, usually there's an element of like hopefulness in the end, but it isn't like a utopia kind of per everything is perfect, but it touches on real like environmental issues and touches on like real mixing like actual what we know about science and stuff and of course fiction, you know. Some of it's a little hackney with like the character interaction, but that's what is interesting and he's pretty much the only the extent of my experience with sci-fi, uh, fiction. You're a bit more well-read than I am because I was more into like movies and music, and I read a bit, but not too much. But would you ever consider writing a novel, like a sci-fi novel?
I very well plan on it. I kind of have a like like I kind of have this like series in mind. I've been meaning to try it for a while. The main thing is I want to finish the second collection, which one of the stories I sent to you is from one of those. That's The Shadow Weeps Alone, another 27 tales. A lot of those stories are originals. Some of those stories are prequels, sequels, spin-offs of stories from the first collection, The Shadow Dies Loudly. I want to finish that. I really want to shoot for an October headline, spooky season. But I really do want to start this series I had in mind like forever ago. Um, but yes, I definitely been trying. I did write one full length series. Not series, just one actual novel. I definitely need to work on it. I was kind of trying perhaps to go outside of my own company and maybe try to get traditionally published, maybe because it would boost mine. I kind of got the same answer from a lot of agents who did respond was like, hey, we like this, but this is incredibly niche and you're not big enough where we want to risk our money putting it out there because we don't even know if anyone's going to buy this because no one knows who the hell you are. Uh, Paraphrasing, of course, but that's what I kind of the gist of a lot of them were saying in between the corporate speak. Um, but yeah, no. So I'm definitely gonna try to get that one out there. That was I working title was Oh My Dear Spider Queen. In the first in the like it's all first person narration from the protagonist is unnamed. I never give him a name. He's dead. I mean, he's been dead for a long time, but he's kind of recounting his life. Only maybe half of the first chapter takes place in our realm. The entire series takes place in this afterlife that I kind of created from picking apart different religions' afterlives and also throwing in some other mythologies, some theoretical physics, some more metaphysics. It's a very bizarre sequence of events that happen that actually kind of makes it probably shoots me in the foot with marketability because I don't really know how to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm sure
the
there's a
protagonist is dead. He's dead. He's walking, just exploring this completely bizarre world, learning the new rules and all these different things about it. But yeah, no, it's like a mix of different religions, mythologies, metaphysics. You know, like a lot of like cool things like that that I just kind of want to completely world build on. I'm working on that, but I would like
That's awesome.
to.
It's a
Thank you, thank you.
combination of different sources of inspiration, and world building is, I think, is one of the best parts of like creating fantasy and sci-fi and stuff. Is just create, just making
Oh,
something
absolutely.
exist,
Yeah. Main thing I
outside of.
want to do is just finish this upcoming collection. I got like a few more stories, and gotta get that own process, and then I think I probably would focus on this other series I really had in mind that I think is really would be really just nice to work on finally. And then I intend to really just play around with that, get the last 27, the third out of the way, and then maybe just really focus on big full-length novel writing. The majority of my experience has just been little tiny stories. I mean, so I know like kind of my strengths are, but I would like to one day, really soon, let's hope the world doesn't end before that, kind of just focus on like the big, epic style novels that aren't just incoherent ramblings.
It's kind of hard with everything, I mean, obviously everybody, you get to a point in your life where you're just busy a lot, and it's hard to dedicate something to like a big project, like a book series and stuff like that, especially when that's not, you have a day job, and I know that you're
Mhm.
in education, right? So you kind of have the summer to kind of work on some other stuff, but you also have the publishing company to kind of
Yes.
focus on other people's writings as well. Um, how do you kind of balance that, kind of like working on the publishing side of things and trying to work on your own writing in the meantime?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the big strength of doing short stories, is you can kind of blast them out without a lot of forethought.
Mhm.
But another thing is too,
Same with
so
songs.
as you know, I mean, we've talked about, Boxhead books for a while. Actually, I remember, like I said, that was how we were originally going to meet. No, that's how we originally met the first time. It was Dr. Pitts Brown introduced us, but
Okay.
I really just I outsource a lot, so I have kind of like a team of a lot of other workers and creatives that they're not like a salary. I don't pay them a salary, but I do pay them for their work. And there's been enough. I've worked with a lot of them enough to be like, okay, well, you're kind of the person I work with. You know what I mean? Like, for example, the woman who did your cover does the majority of covers
And she did a
for.
great job. I'm very
Oh,
happy with.
oh yes, that's why I use her. I mean, not only is she
Yeah.
great, but like we kind of actually just forever ago, I reached out for her to do like this little like ebook I put together, and I mean, we've worked together so long that it's like, well, now I kind of, well, not even I have loyalty to her, and vice versa. And I mean, we are 100% work together. I use a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, no, I mean, and also Box of Books is a very new company. I created a couple, really maybe 3 years ago at the longest, like fiscal, like tax years, if you want to be specific, like 3 years ago. But yeah, I mean, actually, to be honest with you, I love to see it when I really like think about how quick it's been. The growth has been nice. I mean, the numbers even so far this year should be very well. But yes, I spread mostly through word of mouth. Um, for example, yourself. There's another one of my authors, Anthony Mikalakis. I've met him many times. We're pretty close. His second book just came out. I was promoting that recently. For example,
What's the
Carl
title of
Mickelson,
that?
who writes. What's up?
What's the title of that book?
Oh, his recent one, Anthony Mikalakis. That's healthy teeth, healthy teeth, healthy life. Healthy teeth equals a good
Oh,
life.
it's
Yeah,
a
he's
love
very
story,
he's.
right? No.
Oh yeah, of course. No, I mean he's been in the health and fitness industry for almost longer than I've been alive. So
I've
it's
met some
like,
people who could probably read that, could probably use that book.
don't we all? Don't we all? We're both Americans. But
Yep.
no, and then like Carl Mickelson, who wrote Phantom, Love Story. I mean, that dude is a workhorse with writing. I knew him from another author that I mean we both agreed he really just didn't really want to. He wanted to focus on other things in writing. That's his decision. There's no bad blood or anything. We made that, but he introduced me to Carl. And so being so small of a company, that's kind of how I grow. But it's always fun, like being in the early stages building it. So, in that really long-winded answer to how do I balance it, it is just at the perfect stage where it's actually not that hard to balance,
Oh, good.
because it's so small and because of everything. In the future we'll see, but
Well, hopefully in the future you'll have, more associates, more people working on things, with you and expanding and all that.
oh,
How many
well,
authors do you?
that's the plan. My plan is I don't want to work forever, like a clock in job. I mean, I teach. I would like not to die a teacher, but of course, even to do that, I mean, to be honest, that doesn't happen. It's not like I'm gonna, I don't wouldn't view myself as a failure or anything. But I mean, I would like to get it to a point where it becomes my full time thing, along with writing, just the general book creative world. I would even love one day to get into other mediums. That's kind of like a joke amongst my friends. Because like like there's a while where I was kind of like I tried to get into a couple other things, and I'm like, well, I kind of bit off more than I can chew. So now the joke is kind of like like, oh, like anyone says anything, it's like where I'm talking about making money, we're like, oh, Boxhead, that noun, and it's I mean, it's not like a yeah, I think it's hilarious, but I would really love to do different mediums one day.
Maybe do
Well,
Boxhead films or something.
oh, absolutely. I would love to do it. But it's kind of like go like one thing at a time. I kind of got a little excited in the beginning, and like I said, you bite off more than you could chew. It's actually how a lot of businesses fail, by the way. But yeah, so it is the perfect stage right now where it's not that hard to balance.
Right, and it's still in its infancy and it's still got a ways to go. How many authors have you published so far?
Just in total, let's see, there was Declan Walker, myself included, the short stories I self-publish. You just joined. Then we have Anthony and Carl, so that's a total of five in general. Like I said, Mr. Walker would prefer to kind of like actually, funny enough, venture into mostly focus on music for a little bit. He said we'll see about the future, but yeah. So in its entire lifespan, five. Currently, right now, probably like four.
Four have already been released and one more kind of in the works.
Oh no, no, I was saying, well, Declan Walker, he would prefer to mostly focus onto
Oh, I
music.
see.
So
So
in terms of
four.
authors, but in terms of books, I mean, they're coming along. I mean, they're increasing every so often.
And how many releases do you have kind of like in the can, kind of not yet coming out? Anything you want to promote, anything you want to, other than obviously my book, which is out today, but uh any other kind of anything else that's coming
Um,
release? I worded that totally wrong, but you know what I
no,
mean.
it's okay. I do know that Carl Mickelson he's finished the start of a new series. He's tackling like a bunch of series at once. I mean, like I said, the dude's a writing machine. Um, so I mean, I know he definitely has some stuff that he's trying to get done. I know one of his books. I believe it's one of the ones in the new series that is currently being edited. So I know that it should. We're both expecting like a July release. That's kind of the idea. Um, and my second collection of stories, I'm really trying to hope for an October release. If the stars align, we'll see that. If not, I mean, it's going to come out one day. There's just it's kind of one of those things like everything all at once, where it's like got a lot of trials and obstacles to overcome. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident about it either way.
trying to get to everything. I mean, I struggle with that.
uh,
Got too many irons in the fire.
100%. But some of those irons, if they're not on the fire, you don't get to eat, and then you're homeless. So it's kind of like
They gotta
kind
take
of like so some
precedence.
of those irons are taking priority to other irons.
Yep, not by choice. Yeah, I think we all can understand that. But I think it's a great thing what you're doing though, because I think a lot of people can relate to your experience, kind of like submitting writing to like some of the major publishers or just other kind of professional publishing industry. Just trying to get into the publishing industry. Um, it's easy to get disillusioned because there's, it's just like any other industry where, like, you try to submit something, you try to pitch something, and it either, you just get rejected immediately, or maybe they kind of like the idea, but they want to, make it their own, and they want to kind of take all the creative control away from you. And instead, you decide to create your own publishing company. It's like, I think,
Oh, well,
a great thing to do. Just kind of
I
walk,
thank you, and
you know.
100%. I mean, that's kind of my whole pitch is that traditional publishing houses. I mean, they're like it's just incredibly difficult to get into, and you're gonna have to work for free for a long time to get your books out there. And then you also have the hybrid, quote unquote, publishers. That's called vanity presses, where that's really what they are. You pay thousands of dollars just for the right to say that you're an author. You will, like, mathematically, you cannot make profit. And I kind of alluded to that pretty early in this conversation. The amount you're spending, the royalties you're getting, the price of the book, and also they're not going to market it because they already got your money. A lot of first time authors did that. I was victim of it, and that's kind of why I made Boxhead books, kind of almost out of revenge, because I had a
Vengeance
collection
is
of
always the
essays
best
and
success
interviews
story.
about. Okay, thank you. Spite is an amazing motivator. Don't listen to people. But no, I wrote a collection of essays and interviews about my experience with Tourette syndrome, twist and shout, an awkward life with Tourette's. I lost so much money, with big dreams in my hearts and everything. And it was just a predatory thing. And, it happens to a lot of people. And if you look at a lot of these different companies that act like that, like, oh, hybrid vanity presses, whatever, a lot of their authors are older people. A lot of their authors are people who are foreign and they're not like, or they're like learning a language, or they have like come to America. They got these big dreams of being like, making it and like this big author. A lot of these people are, they're disenfranchised, they're poor, whatever you want to call it. They prey on people who have, I don't really want to just assume that these authors are greedy. I don't even know if I was being greedy. I think you just have this, you hear something and you're like, oh, like that'd be so cool. Like,
Hmm.
I love writing. I could, you could make it big, you could do your passion, whatever. I don't think greed's the only motivator for that. Um,
And, it's
they
always
prey
okay to
on
have
that.
a little
Yeah.
bit of greed in a sense, or at least, I mean,
Yeah.
because money is, it makes the world go round.
Oh, exactly. You need it to survive. So, like, exactly. People need to stop pretending that it's like, oh, you disregard it. No, you need it, otherwise you die. Let's be
Yeah, it can't
honest.
be all consuming. We all need food, but, if you have too much of it, you know,
Exactly.
it'll
But
go to
yeah,
your heart.
so
Too much money will go to your head.
exactly. But a lot of these companies prey on people. And granted, I'm not even on par with them at this point. I'm kind of hoping I will be, but that's the whole thing with Boxhead books. Like, yeah, guess what? And I think we had this conversation. I talked to all my authors about it. Is like, listen, you're not going to be a millionaire overnight. No one really is. That's why you offer such a high royalty,
And if you,
because most traditional will pay you like literally a fourth of that.
right.
Like but also they're also like Penguin Random House. 10% of people's royalties from them are a lot more than 40% from mine. So there's a lot of trust, and there's a lot of like, hey, let's grow this together, and it's more of a companionship thing rather than like, hey, guess what? You're gonna make $1 million and we're never gonna talk, and it's gonna be a cold, distant thing.
Right.
I want it more, get it. It's creatives helping creatives. And that's how it used to be when you look at back in the day. All these authors, they hung out, they talked, they shared. I want to bring back that. I want to bring the soul back to literature.
Well,
Exaggerating as it is, but
it's the same could be said about pretty much every creative industry. It could be said about film, just entertainment industry. It could be said about, the music industry. It all is pretty much like that. Whenever you have people, creatives helping creatives. That's why United Artists was formed. And then of course that became like, just another greedy corporate kind of thing. And I think it's it's great that it's like you get the little guy who's trying to competing with the big dogs. Of course, some people say it's stubbornness, but stubbornness I think being stubborn I think has gotten people to a lot of great places just by saying, oh, I'm not gonna listen to anybody. I'm just gonna I'm gonna do this because I believe strongly in this, and I think that's the reason why the more you obviously you have to market it, and that, and the more you market it, and the more of the word kind of gets out there, which is another reason I wanted to have you on, and I kind of wish we I mean, obviously, we wanted to talk about my book and talk about other things, but it'd be great to like dedicate like a whole podcast to just this one topic, because it's definitely a message that should be taken out there, and also I think that the more you do it, I think the bigger the company's going to get, because there's going to be a lot of aspiring writers who have a voice. We all have a voice. Every creative person has their voice, and to have just one place, one outlet to kind of help you along and put your work out there, um, there's a lot of people who are going to flock to it once they hear about it. There's a lot of authors
Oh,
that
I definitely hope so.
yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, with a lot of my podcasts, with talking to guests and stuff, is the problem I run into is, we could talk forever, we could go on and on, but eventually, at some point, we gotta cut it before it drags on too much. So I think this is a good place to kind of
Yeah.
get to our conclusion, but we could,
It's much like life. It needs to end eventually. Otherwise,
yeah,
it's not special.
every good time's gotta come to an end. But it won't. But it's not
Yeah,
really
there's that morbidity, that beautiful morbidity we talked about. But no, I agree,
exactly.
and thank you
Um,
so much for hosting this. I this yeah.
but like I said, this is not the end because I'll be having you back. Maybe whenever your short story collection comes out, and I could read some more of the stories from that, and other things we could
Hopefully,
talk a bit
yes. Yeah.
more about. And of course, as I'm happy to be a part of the Boxhead book name, and to be part of something that is so positive and so encouraging to aspiring artists and creatives and writers. And once again, thank you for publishing my book. I'm happy to have it out. It is out today. The link to it will be in the description, and I'm sure I'll be putting some other links in the description as well. I'll be putting the Boxhead Books website, and maybe your other short story collection. We can figure that stuff out. Um,
Oh yeah. But
but
yeah. But thank you for letting me publish your book. I think that's
absolutely. Well,
something that needs to
I
be
kind
said
of
as
just put it.
well. Like,
I kind of I really, I mean, I don't. Again, like I'm a modest person. I have to admit that you know I didn't set I set out like, oh, I'm going to put out a poetry collection. I had the other book, but I know that one's going to take a while, and I'm like, well, you know, I had heard that you had put out a book of somebody's poetry, and I thought, well, a lot of my songs could be reworked into poetry. So there we go. So I just put it together. I mean, I did work on them. I did restructure them, rewrite them. Some of them, I think, I think they have made a significant improvement from what I did before. Um, so I'm just hoping that people really enjoy it, and I'm very flattered that you've enjoyed it, and hopefully other people when they read it, will actually
mhm.
find some enjoyment and relate to some of them, or just find them entertaining. Some of them, I honestly, some of them, I hope that people laugh. That people actually find them funny, because some of them are trying to be funny.
Well,
Um,
your introduction is hilarious as it is, and I mean that was an amazing hook right into there. Um, yeah.
well, good.
All right. Well,
Happy to put it
but
together.
yeah, no, let's I am again I am grateful you let you bring your words out into the world, Brandon.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's mutual. And we will definitely be in touch. And buy my book. It's called "Words and Meanings Chained to the Floor." It is out now, and check out more from Boxhead Books, and you could also follow Boxhead Books on Instagram. And if you yourself are an aspiring writer, then get in touch with with so you want me to call it Tyler. um,
Yeah, you could go with Tyler. Tyler, I
Tyler.
go by a million.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
search
but
search Boxhead Books, and
yeah,
check them out.
send a DM from Boxhead my way. Send me an email. It's just boxheadbooks@gmail. Let's get in touch. Let's make some literature. Let's make you guys known.
Yeah, let's encourage reading. The world
Huh?
needs to get back into reading.
I mean, to read outside the box. See, there you go.
Exactly. So, is there anything else that you want to say before we go? I'm going to end this with another reading of another story. It's actually a story from your new collection. It's a shorter kind of thing. And but before we get into that, anything else you want to end on? Anything else you want to say to people or anything like that?
Oh no, just don't take life too seriously. Enjoy some art in a once in a while and create it yourself. You know what I mean? Whether it be books, music, little videos. I mean, I don't even care if you're just really good at tweeting. Just create something. I
Yeah,
think
and
it's in
stay
human nature to do so.
stay true to yourself.
100%.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was TL Oberheau, and not too long. Please read. And we'll end this on with another one of his short stories. Thank you for coming on. Bing, bing. You wake up in your smart space, a gift from Trinity Corporation, unlike anything anyone has ever done before. No more mortgages or rent stress. The perfect living space, completely free with employment at Trinity. An intelligent housing unit that gave you everything you could ever want, freeing you from the stress of desperately fighting to keep those basic necessities. A bit groggy, the smart space notices this and prepares you a fresh cup of coffee before you even ask it to. You sip it as you look out the window at the beautiful blue sky and rising sun. Logging on at your in-home workstation, you complete the day's tasks. The workday is done. Your smart space knows you very well and understands that you'd like a medium-rare steak from Trinity's own farmland, with a small glass of red wine harvested from Trinity's own vineyards. It's prepared by the kitchen system, and the smell alerts you before you've even closed out for the day. You eat and drink and end the night with a few shows from Trinity's own streaming service. You wake up the next day, enjoy your coffee, enjoy the sunrise, enjoy your breakfast, enjoy your work, enjoy your dinner, enjoy your shows, sleep peacefully, and wake up. Enjoy your coffee, enjoy the sunrise, enjoy your breakfast, enjoy your work, enjoy your dinner, enjoy your shows, and sleep soundly. Then wake up, enjoy your coffee, enjoy the sunrise, enjoy your breakfast, enjoy your work. See the notification that after your smart spaces analysis, you are far more efficient without consuming alcohol. Dismiss it. Enjoy your dinner, enjoy your shows, sleep soundly, if not better than before. Wake up, enjoy your coffee, enjoy the sunrise, enjoy your breakfast that's now new and improved for extra energy throughout the day. Enjoy your work, enjoy your dinner, enjoy your shows, go to sleep, wake up, enjoy your coffee. You feel like it might be somewhat watered down this time, but it's barely noticeable. Enjoy breakfast, complete your work, eat dinner, watch your shows, go to sleep, wake up, drink your coffee, enjoy the sunrise, do your work. Your smart space has denied you red meat for a limited time due to rising prices. Eat your dinner, watch your shows, sleep, wake up, drink your coffee, enjoy the sunrise, eat breakfast, complete your work, eat breakfast. Notice that your favorite show was canceled before the series could properly end. Watch something else. It's alright. You miss your friends. You've ignored them for quite some time. You send a request for vacation. You sleep, a bit restless. You wake up, drink your coffee, enjoy the sunrise. Today you stare longingly at it. When was the last time you felt the sun's heat on your bare skin? You eat breakfast. The portion is smaller today. You do your work. You see that your request has been denied. You eat your dinner. The portions are also smaller. Less flavorful, too. You start some new show but can't get into it. You decide to go to bed early. You barely sleep. You wake up exhausted. You drink your coffee. You request another. Request denied. You gaze at the sunrise. Eat your breakfast. Do your work. You didn't finish your tasks today. You eat your dinner. You are denied television tonight and are sent work ethic based educational materials instead. You lay in bed with your eyes open. It's time for coffee. You drink it. Oh, that bittersweet sunrise brings tears to your eyes. During your work, you are told that a new product can enhance your efficiency. It will be ready by the evening. Eat dinner. Tastes funny. No shows. Only more career materials. Your smart space connects to your bodily systems overnight because of the implants you ingested with dinner last night. You wake up, fully alert. You request coffee. You're asked a reason. You say it's because you enjoy coffee. Request denied. Coffee is no longer necessary and will be discontinued until further notice. You genuinely smile at the sunrise. You complete your work. You are notified that to save electricity, that dinner, and breakfast as well, will no longer be a cooked meal, but rather a nutrient-dense and delicious shake. You go straight to bed, wake up, consume breakfast shake, complete work, consume dinner shake, go to sleep, wake up, you skip breakfast shake. You just stare at the sunrise and softly weep. Complete tasks, complete meal, complete sleep, complete meal, complete tasks, complete meal, complete more tasks. You spend hours watching the big, beautiful sunrise above and stand all-knowing and all-loving in the sky. You're notified to complete your tasks. You complete your tasks. You complete your meal. You forego your nightly tasks to rest. You wake up. You see a notification that explains how efficiency is of highest priority. You notice the window is gone. Smart Space Modular System knows what's best. You stare at the blank white wall where the window used to be. You let out the shrillest, most blood-curdling scream of terror and collapse into an animalistic hysteria. Smart Space by Trinity Corporation notifies you of the importance of efficiency.